it seems like with women, you have to have the look. You have to have the voice. You got to be able to write your own songs. You've got to be able to perform well, and all this different stuff. And for some men, it's just like that they're on a hat and boots, and they're the next Morgan Wallen. So.
Welcome back to Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with women in country music. I'm Jess Wright in Nashville, Tennessee, and if you don't know about this week's guest yet, something tells me you're going to be hearing a lot from her before too long. Hey, Lakelin Lemmings.
Hello.
Girl, you have been busy.
Busy. Yes.
Did I see you were just out in San Diego recently performing at NASCAR?
I was, yeah, for KSON's Country Fest.
So how many, okay, I'm throwing down the gauntlet right away. How many women were performing at that event?
Me and one other.
Okay, not just one.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Way to go, KSON.
Yeah.
Okay. The bar keeps getting a little bit higher. And you got to spend some time with some military families while you were there.
Yes, I did. I got to tour the whole naval base there and meet a lot of different people and some Navy SEALs and just different stuff. And it was a super cool experience.
That had to be so meaningful.
Yeah, it really was. I don't have any family ties to the military, but I just have such appreciation for it. So to see it all, it was pretty crazy.
Now, you're from West Tennessee, so between here and Memphis.
Yes.
Okay.
Like right in between.
When did you make the move to Nashville?
I haven't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your girl is still making the 2-hour drive every time I come to work.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot cheaper that way. Let's be real. Let's just be real.
Even with gas prices, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. Which I've been on radio tour for 15 weeks or something, so I was really just coming to Nashville to fly out and then coming back. So
yeah. And radio tour, for people who don't know, is where you go around the country. Basically, it's kind of a dog and pony show, really. Like you
yeah, a little bit.
You play your song in a conference room for 1 to, I don't know, sometimes 7 people who work at the radio station. And how's that been going?
It's been going good. Our ad day was April 27th, and we got top 5 most added. So right next to my girl, Megan Maroney and Ella Langley.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Again, like, I don't want to throw too many props at radio because I came from radio and I know how things work.
Yeah.
And I know that although women are having a moment right now, this is not typical, especially for a new artist.
No, for sure. Well, like when I saw 3 women in the top 5, I was like, okay, look at us go.
Yeah. Little tiny baby steps.
Yeah.
But you have been making big moves for a few years now. Like, you're 20 now?
Yes.
Okay. So at 17, you signed your first publishing deal.
That is correct, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I'd been coming to Nashville since I was 12, writing songs and just, doing the whole social media thing, and started really coming to Nashville like weekly when I was 16, and landed a publishing deal at 17 and just worked hard and now signed the record deal at 19.
I was going to say, you got that record deal last year, and it's a smaller independent label, but with some big names and experience behind it. What made them the right choice, and how do you figure that out at 19?
I'm very thankful. I have a good producer, manager, everything. Ash Bowers, shout out to him. He was
another big name.
Yeah. He had, I think, co-owned the publishing place that I signed with at 17. And then he started working for Benny Brown at Quartz Hill. And he brought me in for a meeting with Benny. He was like, there's no promises. He was like, I'm trying to help you out, trying to put you with the right people, but there's no guarantee he'll agree. I was like, okay, cool. So we go into this meeting. It was with him and Jason Sellers and some more people. And I was supposed to sing 3 songs, only sing 2. And after the second song, he was like, I think I've heard all I need to hear. And coming from this man that,
that could be either way.
Here, I'm like, this could either be really good or really bad. And he was like, let's do it. He's like, I think you have a good head on your shoulders and you can obviously sing and write a song. So I was like, all righty then. I don't know if this is how it normally happens, but...
Girl, no, it is not.
That's what I've heard. I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but...
That's amazing. And I know your dad spent some time in the music business
He did, yes.
A while back. And so you probably have had some idea how things work in the business.
Yeah, my dad played guitar actually in a band with Ash Bowers. So it's kind of like a big full circle thing. But yeah, he had kind of mentored me a lot. And I mean, he was the one driving me to Nashville at 12. So he would introduce me to some of his, friends and connections he had, and also kind of let me spread my wings and do my own thing. So
how prepared were you coming into the pursuit of music for this extra bit of struggle that is put on women in country music?
I don't think you're ever prepared for it.
Did it seem real? Did you realize it was a thing?
Kind of a funny story is me and my dad, actually, when I would come to Nashville, we would play this game of we would listen to the radio and see how many women were going to be played within the 2-hour stretch. And it would be like 1 in 10. Mm-hmm. So you'd have 1 female and then like 9 men and never 2 females back to back. And so he had always told me, he's like, it's going to be harder for you. He's like, you've got to be more than just a good voice, because it seems like with women, you have to have the look. You have to have the voice. You got to be able to write your own songs. You've got to be able to perform well, and all this different stuff. And for some men, it's just like that they're on a hat and boots and they're the next Morgan Wallen. So,
yep.
I think I knew pretty early on that it was going to be a struggle, but I was like, challenge accepted.
Okay. It doesn't feel discouraging to you in any way?
It does it sometimes, just because I feel like we're kind of competing against each other, and I love supporting other women. Like I said, I was up there with Meg Maroney and Ella Langley, and it wasn't like, oh, man, she beat me. It was like, oh, we're doing this together, We can all, there's room for all of us.
Because when one of us wins, we all win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you felt support from other women in the industry?
I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of women in country music, and I remember the first time I went to the recording studio at Soundstage here in Nashville, Kelsey Ballerini was there. And she didn't know me, obviously, and she just came in the studio and she was like, hey, I love your boots. And I was like, you know what? I love that, because she doesn't know me, but yet she complimented my boots and was still, humble and kind. And met Ashley McBride at this last CMA Fest backstage at Chiefs. And
by the way, my soon-to-be best friend, but she doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, I love her. She's so funny. Mm-hmm. We shared like a dressing room, and she was just giving me advice and supporting me. I remember as I was walking out the door to go play my show, she was like, Jazz Fingers, you've got this. I was like, that's just so cool. I love that.
And I saw that you opened for Runaway June.
I did, yeah. I love them girls. I've got the privilege to write with Jennifer. We wrote a good little song, and they've been super supportive as well.
Jennifer's been on the show as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. What do you do to support other women?
I mean, I do as much as I can. I love just commenting. Something so small as commenting or sharing a friend's post can go a long way. With social media and everything nowadays, you just never know. So I like to support a lot that way, but anytime there's a concert, I love going to a female concert. They put on the best shows, just saying. Mm-hmm. I've been to see Lainey Wilson like 5 times, I think. So that's another way.
Yeah. And that social media thing is so true, because especially with country fans,
yeah,
they are so like diehard supporters of an artist that if you're their favorite artist and you say, this is my favorite artist, or this is a new artist that I love, they're going to go, what? We need to know about that.
Right. You can always put somebody on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already have a pretty huge fan base on social media.
Not to brag, but I do have pretty great fans.
Listen, that is, I mean, big numbers, like from a very tiny platform to a very large platform. What's the secret? How do you build it?
I don't think anybody knows, and I definitely don't, but I just started posting like TikToks and even lip syncs and just stuff like that, just showing my personality and who I am, and throwing in the cover and original music every now and then. Started posting on TikTok when, it was booming and stuff, and grew my followers to over 100,000 just by myself, then signed the record deal, and obviously, that spiked it a little bit. So I don't really think there's a secret to it. You just got to be yourself, and people they'll be drawn to that authenticity of it.
And then lightning strikes.
Yeah.
Yay.
We're waiting on the lightning. It's been storming a lot, so.
You know what? I think that lightning is probably going to strike for you pretty soon. I mean, you know, I'm sure that it's a quote unquote 10-year overnight success. Like,
right, yeah.
Lainey Wilson was living in a trailer on somebody's front yard 10 years ago.
Right.
And now she's the biggest name in country music.
Right.
But you've been putting out music for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
P.S. Again, that means you started when you were 17.
Yes.
And you're already publishing deal, record deal, like, you're on the way to the lightning.
I hope so. Knock on wood.
I saw a video, by the way, that you posted, I think on TikTok.
Yeah, tic-tac-toe. Yep.
The ticking talk. And I think you had just released this song called Baby Daddy.
Yes.
And you were playing it for the first time for your dad. Mm-hmm. Nobody warned me I was going to feel an emotion looking at TikTok.
Yep.
But you put it out right before Father's Day in 2023. And that song got 100,000 streams.
Yes. I remember filming that video. It was before I released the song. Right after we wrote it, I showed it to my dad. And I was like, I'm just going to film his reaction just to see. And obviously with him having the musical background and stuff, he was drawn to it a little bit more. And then knowing that I wrote it about him, he was just like, okay, tears are coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I posted on TikTok not thinking much of it. I mean, at the time, I think I was 16. And it got like 3.7 million views or something. And so we were like, okay, well, probably should put it out.
Yeah. Might work.
Yep. So we just put out just like a piano vocal version of it, and it took off.
And then last year when you signed your record deal, mm-hmm. you put out American Dreamin'.
Yeah.
What did it feel like the first time you heard it on the radio?
That was really surreal because, like I said, I mean, I grew up listening to radio with my dad and being in the car with my mom and stuff too. And I always dreamt, I was like, one day I'm going to be one of the females on there and have a song on the radio. And then sure enough, it happened. And at such a young age, I have to remind myself that I am young because I've been doing this so long. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, finally it's happening. And at the same time, I'm like, Lakelin, you're 17. Mm-hmm. Girl, get a grip. This is great. But yeah, I didn't think I was going to get emotional. I thought I was just going to be super excited and stuff, but I ended up getting a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. And
it's on Spotify. It's got 235,000
Yeah, it's like my most
now.
streamed song, I think.
Like, yeah, your biggest song to date so far. And then earlier this year, you put out your 5-song EP, mm-hmm. Get Around Boy. And then you just put out your debut album self-titled. Got all of those songs on it from the EP, mm-hmm. plus 11 more. Girl, 16 songs.
You know, I don't even know how that happened. Yeah, we were just writing for the album, and Benny Brown, he was like, cut 5 more. Cut 5 more. I was like, okay, sure. And we actually had to narrow it down a little bit. I think we overcut. I think we did like 18 or 19. So there's a few songs y'all haven't heard.
More for the next album.
Yeah, y'all stay tuned.
But you're probably still writing, so the next album you're going to have the same.
I was about to say, yeah, I was just writing 30 minutes before this.
But this album is a long time coming. Yeah. Right? I mean, I think I saw you say that you've been writing this song since you were in high school. Yeah, the earliest song on this album, I think I wrote when I was 16 or 17. So this album is an introduction to you for a lot of people. Yes. What do you want people to learn about you from it? I think, that question's so hard because I'm like, I kind of want people to just listen to this album and get a good glimpse of who I am, but also like see themselves in these songs. Because I write my songs, yes, for me, for a little, therapy and just to express myself, but also I write these songs thinking about my fans and thinking about the people and how they will relate to it. And just, I want them to know that I'm real. I'm just like anybody else. I'm a girl doing her best, writing these songs, hoping that somebody will like them, just chasing my dreams. So I think that's one of the things that is so great about country music is that everybody's sort of the same. In some of the other genres, the artists and even like radio personalities are put on this pedestal, this rock star lifestyle that they're living that nobody could possibly ever live as a normal person. But in country music, it feels like so many of the artists are just, I mean, Miranda Lambert's still like, I was at Target the other day. Yeah.
I think that's what's so cool is like, even though we're all doing these big things, especially like social media, we see the highlights. I mean, look up to like Miranda or Lainey or whoever, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was doing that. And then I'm like, wait, I just did a radio tour. Oh, wait, I'm going to the UK to do a show and all this different stuff. I'm like, we're very similar. We're all just people that had a dream and decided to chase it. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, what kind of reaction have you gotten from your fans now that the album is out?
Honestly, so far, pretty positive. And I'm so thankful for that. I was like, because it's hard putting out an album and like pouring your heart and soul into it and just being like, okay, here, hope you like it. Don't tell me if you don't. But yeah, it's been pretty positive, and I mean, there's a lot of songs to go through, so I got to give it some more time.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have a favorite song from the album?
You can't ask me that. It changes all the time because, I mean, you've got 16 to pick from. It depends on what mood I'm in, but one that's been sticking out for me pretty much throughout is "I Ain't For Everybody." It's a really special song.
Talk about that one and where it came from.
Yeah, this one, the kind of like story behind it is we actually went in that day, me, Mike Mobley, and Ash Bowers, and we were going to write like some up-tempo, like redneck woman type song. And if you've heard this song, you know it's not that. And we weren't really getting anywhere, and Ash just pulls out the piano, and he starts playing and just kind of, humming along. And this song just kind of wrote itself. I mean, once we got off what we were on and onto that, it just went. And this song really just talks about how if my blonde hair isn't what you like, I don't care. Like, if you're not okay with whoever I am, that's okay, because there's somebody out there that will love me and love that I have blonde hair and love that I talk about Jesus all the time. And it's all about acceptance and self-love and knowing your worth.
Amen. And It's funny that you bring up Redneck Woman and how you were trying to do that kind of song, and that's not what it ended up being. Because do you know Gretchen's story about Redneck Woman?
I don't think so.
She saw Faith Hill on CMT or whatever.
Yeah.
The video, I think it was for probably Breathe, the one she's rolling around on the bed and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And Gretchen's like, I can't. How am I ever going to be able to succeed in this business when I don't look like that? That's not what I do.
Right.
And then she wrote Redneck Woman. So you trying to write a redneck woman and coming up with this other thing is almost exactly the same as writing a redneck woman.
I was about to say, yeah, we all have our own lane, and we all just have to find out what our lane is and what our version of song is going to do well for us. And yeah.
Well, we do have a couple of the songs from the project on the Girl Crush Country playlist on Spotify and Pandora.
Thank
you. What's coming the rest of the year? What are we watching out for?
Yeah, radio tour's finished, but we're still going back and playing radio shows all the time. I think I fly out this week for one. And then I'm also getting to go to the UK this August for a week.
That's exciting.
Shows. Yeah, I get to play the Country Calling Festival. I'm opening for Randy Houser.
Love it.
I know, voice insane.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just playing some other shows. So catch me out on the road.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Lakelin Lemmings, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. I'm so glad you could come by.
Me too. Thank you.
Now, if you love what we're doing, which is elevating the voices of women in country music, join the mission. Hit subscribe on the channel, share the videos, comment below your favorite song from the new Lakelin Lemmings album. Follow us on the socials, wear the merch, and sign up for the newsletter. Get it directly into your inbox every Monday when you subscribe at girlcrushcountry.com.